So, Demon Lord 2099 made a pretty bold and risky decision after last week's episode. And watching the newest one, I watched last week's episode yesterday, I watched the newest one obviously today. I personally think the risk is paying off. But if what I was seeing last week is any indication, I was seeing a lot of people talk some smack saying that, oh no, a school arc, I guess for some it just rubbed them the wrong way that we went from almost like a psychopathy style story with a, honestly, Devil's a part-timer kind of gag, just rather than McRonald's, we are a Twitch streamer, but then we also have like this insane plot with all the demon stuff. Going to school at surface level, at face value, seems like a bad decision. That's where the risk comes in. But watching both episodes, no, I think this is actually paying off. You essentially have now two different styles of anime that you're working around. You had the initial almost Devil's a part-timer hook, just like I said, with Twitch streaming, plus the story, as we saw, could get into some Psycho-Pass level vibes. But now we're almost in a Misfit of Demon King Academy situation, and I have to say, what they're doing, especially if you look at like the funny little gag we got at the end with the maid cafe, I think this is going to pay off. And if anything, I personally think I'm going to like the second half of this season more than the first half. It is risky to deviate away from what we easily could have done, just focus more on the Twitch streaming side while also, dealing with, whatever we're dealing with in terms of like, okay, we got to finish up the fireplace stuff, figure out that. But the overall long-term plot is that, well, we have to find the remaining people. There's a big treasure in the bottom of this school. So, like, it's clear they're going to have different styles to work with and different locations and set designs. And personally, while I do think it's a risk to attempt such a deviation, which, yes, at face value telling me that, oh, it's going to be a school arc, does sound like it's going to drop off and be a generic mess. But honestly, between the duel and then the maid cafe stuff, I think they got a style they could really work with. Now, of course, I have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and Cathatane, this greatness is going to be over there exclusively. So, it's still early, and we have more to work with on the previous arc, but I really do like the school stuff as it stands. So, there's a few things that immediately when I figured out what they were going for, I was excited for. People recognizing him as a Twitch streamer, that's going to be fun. And they do kind of touch upon that in the latest episode where the dude who was bullying the new girl basically was like, you're just some dude who, plays, video games on Twitch. And the clapback was glorious. It's something anyone who's a content creator will use at some point in their life. And it's basically like, hey, you were watching my stream. Thanks for the ad revenue you helped generate. It's perfect. That's why I always say, like, hate watching makes no sense. All you're doing is actually helping. Like, there's, like, no matter what you do, whether that's dislikes or, hate comments, everything helps the algorithm. And it all just helps generate money. And I love the fact that they inserted that as a clapback. Just brilliant. So we go to the school, and of course our boy's a god among men. So teacher getting frustrated that he's not paying attention in class. Actually, teach, I memorized everything. Okay, recite this, and he perfectly does it. It reminds me of something that happened to me when I was like in 6th grade, give or take. I had like, the thing you do sometimes in school, you'd like be resting your head on your arms on the desk because you're just so tired of the BS. I was listening to the whole thing, and, the teacher was, like, reading off, like, the presentation or whatever the note was, and she's like, Brandon, can you continue off? And I just looked up and just, boom, did it. I don't know how I did it, but it frustrated her beyond belief, and because she couldn't give me shit for not paying attention because somehow I did. And that immediately reminded me of that and just brought me so much freaking joy. In his defense, though, he actually had, like, this photographic memory. Mine was I just remembered the bitch's words and just quickly skimmed till I found it. But just honestly, yeah, it's a school arc, but they got some cool things going on here. You can just casually challenge anyone to a duel and the teacher will be like, okay, bet. And our boy, being the big dick energy boss he is like, is that all you're gonna do to me? Hit me with your best shot. Catches the arrow mid-fly and essentially compresses his mana into like the size of a golf ball, but it felt like, based on the impact of the sound effect, that he got hit with like 6 different bowling balls slamming him into a wall. Like, he sent that bitch flying. And the idea that the whole thing was basically like, hey, if I win, you're gonna never touch this girl ever again. Like, she is beyond you. Because he thinks she's stronger, but she's saying like she can't use mana. So there's a whole bag of worms we gotta, dig up there, figure out what's going on. And while I knew what was coming with the Maid Cafe thing, I still very much enjoyed it because basically once they leave school, there's a scene for like 3-4 minutes of them just walking down the street. It's very obvious that, production wise, the key moments are still looking damn good. And a lot of the general conversations, good character designs. But the cracks are showing more in this production, and there's a lot more stiffness to it, and a scene where you see their three faces, not much changes, and it's just the background scrolling endlessly. Like, you could tell, in order to get, like, the attack animation we had, or some of the other key signature moments, some shortcuts had to be taken along the way, and there's definitely some inconsistencies with the character models off and on. Not enough to ruin the episode, but it is enough to be like, if you, like... I'm not going to lie and be like, oh, the episode's perfect visually. It's not. But it's not abysmal either. But yeah, you are seeing the cracks. But at least what they're talking about is interesting. Even if the second half of the episode isn't quite as good as the first half, it still gives you a good taste of what's coming with the school stuff. And while it is a bold choice to switch from Psycho-Pass level storytelling to high school hijinks, I think they're doing a very fun job with it, and honestly, the aesthetic of the school is really cool. It's just as visually interesting as the cyberpunky aesthetic. Like, in my humble opinion, this has the best backgrounds of any anime this season. It's just so good and clicks with me. And the build up to... Our girl literally says she has a friend who got banned for slapping ass. At least that's what's implied by the poster and her comments. Poor Machina's like, yeah, you probably should be friends with people like that. Bet. And she's like, they have a request. I'm going to order the maid with the biggest boobs. How is she not banned? Is she the friend? Does she have to come in with different outfits so they don't recognize her? And you knew who was coming if you've seen any anime. The cliche, it was screaming at you a mile away, but it didn't change the fact that it made me laugh out loud. And I was like, that's very enjoyable. In my opinion, I think this is a good transition for the show. It basically delivered what I wanted Devil's a Part-Timer Season 2 to do, where it just was way better, more interesting, while incorporating a Demon Lord story, but also using the modern ideas as well. And now we're at Misfit of Demon King Academy. Honestly, this show could jump around styles and genres 5 more times, and honestly, I think they could probably pull it off. And like my boys said, thanks for watching, and getting the ad revenue up. Oh, it's such a genuine clapback too. Everyone uses that at least once on social media, man. The creators understood the assignment. It's just a shame Twitch didn't sponsor this anime like Pizza Hut did to Kogios. Your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring the bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll just give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Happy Lenko, Dr. Koala, Final Destination, Tori Holland, Raise Max, CCC Studios, Rafael Borks, Patrick Stonsky, and we also have Nathan Matthews. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.